Thursday, bloody Thursday. With McCarthy battered and beaten, we are now on the ninth ballot for the House attempting to elect a new speaker for the new term. What are we on? 118th Congress. And this is the most ballots that they've had to go to elect a speaker since 1923, although it does not look like this is going to be the last one, not by a long shot. On the eighth ballot, which they've already done two today, I believe, on the eighth ballot, McCarthy still was well shy of a majority of the House. And even though there's now, it's not just Donald's, there's two other names in contention as alternatives to be a speaker. It doesn't matter if you've got Republicans voting for someone other than McCarthy. It doesn't matter what that person's name is. It just matters that they're not voting for McCarthy, because it means that they're able to block him from a majority. So 17 votes went to Donald's, 2 votes went to this guy named Hearn, I think, from Oklahoma. Doesn't matter. And then 1 vote from Matt Gaetz went to Donald Trump. And this 1 vote for Matt Gaetz, I think, is the most important development of the day. Because, yes, we see, as a continuation from the last 2 days, McCarthy doesn't have the votes. There are 20 Republicans. Actually, there's 1 person voting present. I don't remember who voted present. But there's 20, at least 20 Republican votes locked in, not going to Kevin McCarthy. And the longer they hold out, the more concessions they've been able to extract from Kevin McCarthy. They haven't been able to extract enough concessions, though, in order to make him a good speaker. But what was it? In the words of Matt Gaetz, this either ends with McCarthy withdrawing and not becoming the speaker, or with him accepting, a straitjacket which constrains him to the point that he is effectively not the Speaker of the House, although he will be the Speaker in name. Which I would think would be an attractive offer if I'm Kevin McCarthy, because what does he want in life? He wants the title. He wants to be able to say to everyone, I am the Speaker of the House. And he's going to want to wear that title for the rest of his life and, make tons of money as being a lobbyist. This is beefing up his resume. And if he accepts that straitjacket, who cares if he, has less power? Now, you might say, well, that will make him much less of an asset to the donor class and to the lobbyists if he doesn't have much power as Speaker. But that doesn't matter in the long run, because you make much more money once you're out of Congress and actively serving as a lobbyist yourself. And so McCarthy, I think, on net, would still benefit from this deal. But alas, we're not there yet. We're not even really that close to it, although from what the leaks are coming out, it seems like they're getting closer to that. The McCarthy is reaching a breaking point. But back to what I was saying about the most important development out of today, Matt Gaetz's vote to make Trump the Speaker. Now, this is not something that I think is going to happen. I don't think that Trump is going to become Speaker, although I will give props to Robert Barnes, who I think was the first person many months ago that I heard, because we all knew that McCarthy didn't have the votes to become Speaker, that he is incredibly unpopular, that he has approximately like a 0.0% approval rating, even among Republicans. And so Barnes was the first person I heard suggest the idea of having Trump be Speaker in order to make up for, to be sort of like a unity candidate for Speaker. Someone who is above, intra-House Republican squabbles, because Donald Trump is not a House Republican. He is supposedly someone that every Republican congressman likes and has voted for in the past and supported. Remember, the anti-Trump Republicans, Kinzinger and Cheney and the like, they've all been excised from the House GOP. Furthermore, if Trump is the Speaker of the House, that gives him a platform that he desperately needs in order to campaign for president. He would be Speaker for 2 years, meaning that if he wins the next presidential election in 2024, he would, his term of Speaker would end at the same time that his term as president is beginning. So this would be something that is beneficial to Trump. It would be something that was very difficult for your average middle-of-the-road House Republican to oppose, because they see what happened to the other Republicans like Kinzinger and Cheney who turned against Trump openly. But I think that given the situation that we're now in, Gaetz being the one to bring this up and to first nominate Trump for Speaker in the House is a very smart move, because Trump has endorsed McCarthy. Trump now has a tendency to view people who go against McCarthy as traitors to Trumpism, and people who have betrayed him personally. But Gaetz is shielding himself from that by nominating Trump himself. He's stroking Trump's ego brilliantly. He's saying to Trump, you know what, Mr. Trump, with all due respect, I disagree with your choice for Kevin McCarthy as Speaker because I don't think he's good enough for it. I think that this is a job that only you, President Trump, are capable of doing. And so what he's doing is making overtures to Trump to turn Trump against McCarthy. And if Trump turns against McCarthy, that would be the final nail in Kevin's coffin, whether Trump becomes Speaker or not. But if Trump did want to accept the nomination for becoming the next Speaker of the House, he would first have to turn on Kevin McCarthy. And if that were to happen, if Trump were to withdraw his endorsement and say, you know what, Kevin, it's time to step aside, I think that Kevin's path to the speakership will be effectively closed at that point, to the extent that it's still open at all. At this point, it is possible that Kevin McCarthy still becomes the Speaker. I think that that is probably still the base case. But the possibility, the chances of it dwindle more and more every day as we go through more votes, and these 20 Republicans who are voting against McCarthy become more and more entrenched in their position. Sean Hannity decided to try and play the old Hannity and Colmes game, where this is what Sean's always done, because Sean is a midwit. Actually, he's not even a midwit. He's just a low IQ individual. He always brings people on his show when he disagrees with them that he thinks are not as intelligent as him. And, well, that's the wrong way of putting it, because Sean Hannity isn't intelligent at all. He's a doofus. So he tries to bring on people who he thinks are even dumber than he is. That's why he had a show with Alan Colmes for so many years. That's why he brings on, dopey Clinton adjuncts like Austin Goolsbee. And that's why, to debate the matter of Kevin McCarthy being the next Speaker, he brought on, not Matt Gaetz, not Byron Donalds, the man whose name, as of yesterday, was the one that, was seen as the alternative to Kevin McCarthy. No, he didn't ask either of them. He asked Lauren Boebert, a short little, 5'2", 90-pound woman. She's got a squeaky little voice, and she's very unintimidating. And it was easy for Sean, in his opinion, or it would have been easy for him to just talk down to her and say, "Oh, come on, you're being a child. This is the grown-up game. You need to sit at the adults' table, and you need to get in line because this is what you do. And this is just silly. You're being this is like a game show. You just nominate a different person every day. Who do you want to be Speaker, huh? Nail it down." Which is it is a dumb argument on the point of Sean Hannity, and he knows it. He's dumb, but he's not that dumb. He knows when he's being disingenuous. The issue here is not, oh, well, we just got to pick someone. Pick somebody and stick to them. Somebody who can win. No, it's a matter of whose name, other than Kevin McCarthy's, on the ballot at this point is immaterial. Doesn't matter if it's Byron Donalds. Doesn't matter if it's this guy Hearn from Oklahoma. Doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump. Doesn't matter if it's Jim Jordan. What matters is there are people who don't want to vote for McCarthy. And if it becomes clear that there's a certain contingent of the Republican conference that will not vote for Kevin McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy has to withdraw, the two sides have to come together, and they have to decide on some third candidate who everyone can get behind. Whether that's, what's his name from New York, Lee Zeldin, or whether it's Donald Trump, or whether it's somebody else, that doesn't matter. At least not yet. That hasn't been decided yet, but the negotiation needs to happen, and they both need to go into it with that attitude. That's not happening yet. They're still trying to prove. They're in the stage of trying to prove to Kevin McCarthy that he can't win. Once Kevin McCarthy wins, then the party can come together and try and decide on, and come together and decide on someone who can win a majority. So yes, Sean, obviously the GOP is not uniting behind Byron Donalds. He's only got 20 votes. But they're not uniting behind Kevin McCarthy either. They are both losing candidates for the Speaker. And I hope that that's the last time I ever have to mention Sean Hannity on this channel. I'm one of these people, I like listening to people who I disagree with sometimes, if I think they can make a good point. Sean Hannity is someone you should never waste your time listening to. There's absolutely nothing of value that has ever come out of that man's mouth or out of his show, although, well, I should say, he used to do these segments with Jamie Dupree, who was a decent Capitol reporter, still is, but he's now mute and can no longer do radio. So he's on Twitter, and he also writes out a script that someone else reads on the radio, but he no longer can do radio broadcasts. But that was like the only valuable thing that ever came out of any of Sean Hannity's programming, was when he would have Jamie Dupree on, who is not even, that doesn't even count, because it was a whole segment where he would hand the microphone over to someone different and let them run a different show. So to me, the question is Gaetz going to be able to get through to Trump at all? There is a glimmer of hope. I did see that apparently Trump's spokeswoman, a woman I believe by the name of Liz Harrington, retweeted Gaetz's vote for Trump, his nomination of Trump to be Speaker. And, maybe that's a sign that things are going in the right direction. Maybe Trump himself is impressed with that. Maybe not. But that's the space that I'm watching next. If McCarthy's going to break down, Trump, and it's sort of a chicken or the egg thing. Trump is a guy who is notorious for endorsing people only based on whether he thinks they're going to win or not. People he thinks are going to win get his endorsement. People who he thinks are going to lose, no matter how pro-Trump they are, he won't endorse them. And he'll endorse people, no matter how much they trash him personally, almost, if he thinks they're going to win. Kevin McCarthy, case in point. Kevin McCarthy is he's a total anti-Trump guy. In all but words. He might say, if you ask him directly, he's going to say, oh yeah, I love President Trump. Other than that, if you don't ask him directly in every way possible, Kevin McCarthy, anti-Trump guy. Yet Trump endorses him because he thinks that he's the one who's most likely to win. And Trump cares about his record of endorsing people who end up winning. That is what Trump touts. He doesn't tout how many people he's gotten elected. He touts how many people he was right about getting elected. He doesn't tout the accomplishments of people who he has endorsed. He doesn't tout, how good they've been, in their jobs, how good they are at their jobs. He touts the fact that they won and that he endorsed them. So, if Trump withdraws his endorsement of McCarthy, not only do I think that that would undermine McCarthy to the point to where he would not be able to recover, it would also just be a sign that McCarthy's going to lose. You see what I mean? So McCarthy will lose because Trump took his endorsement away, but also Trump is taking his endorsement away because McCarthy will lose. But we're not at that stage yet. I don't want to, mislead anybody. Trump has not pulled his endorsement, but I think that it's becoming increasingly possible. Because the media is saying how embarrassing this is, for the Republican Party. It's not embarrassing for the Republican Party. It's embarrassing for Kevin McCarthy and his supporters, Donald Trump included. Donald Trump, the last couple days, has been trying to trumpet on Truth Social. Oh, everybody needs to get behind Kevin McCarthy. Guess what? The people on Truth Social, I can tell you, not without even using the site, because I have no interest in using the site. The people on that website, they're not going to be Kevin McCarthy fans. So Trump is not going to be seeing positive feedback from that, for the most part. And at some point, Trump is going to give up on this and say, because you know who's being humiliated here? It's Trump himself. Because someone that Trump picked is losing. And if he gets to the point where he thinks there's a serious chance McCarthy will lose, he will pull his endorsement, whether he plans on running to be Speaker himself or not, because he doesn't want to endorse someone and then have them lose. Trump has done this before. He's endorsed people and then pulled his endorsement because he thought they weren't going to win. So, with that said, I will see you folks back here tomorrow, and hopefully Kevin McCarthy will have not only lost 9 times in a row, hopefully he will lose 3 more times tomorrow, and however many more times it takes before he finally gives up the ghost and moves out of the Speaker's office, moves down the hall, back to his own office, and gives up on being Speaker of the House once and for all.